Hi everyone, welcome to Papa's Workshop. Today I'm doing a video on how to put the Pledge of Allegiance on a flag and how to do the tiling of the operation down here where we're cutting each line in 2 different steps. Let's get started. To be able to set this up, to be able to put the Pledge of Allegiance on a flag, the first thing that I did is I went ahead and put in a box that was 1.5 inches wide by the 24 inches long, and then I have another box that is set up that's 1.5 inches wide, and that's 37 inches long. Now these first 3 lines, I'm going to be able to set it up on a workpiece by itself because I'll be able to cut that on the table. However, cutting the next 3 lines, which this is 37 inches, and I have a working area on the CNC machine that's approximately 30 inches, that means I've got to tile this. So I'll be able to split these words and do it in 2 different carves. Now the first 3 lines are real easy to be able to do. And I brought this first line, I pledge allegiance, in, and I'm going to highlight that. We're going to go ahead and select the shape, rotate this to 90 degrees, and make sure that we hit the edit button and center to the material, and that gets it where it is centered in this space. Over here, the workpiece that's going to be 1.5 inches wide by 24 inches. Okay, this is the setup that I have to cut the first line of the Pledge of Allegiance. And this one was going to say, I pledge allegiance. And I have the bump stops on each side. On the back here, I have 1 stop at the very back to be able to keep it from sliding. And I have another bump stop flipped over and put on top to be able to make sure that it holds it down tight. On this end, I have the regular clamp holding it, but I'm on the far right hand side because this is going to be my XY0 and the bit is going to move in this direction, and I want to make sure that this stays clear. Now in looking at the computer screen, I have the exact same setup. My XY axis for the 0 point is down here at the bottom left, and then it'll carve straight up along this line. And it's very important to have this exactly correct to what's on the computer versus what's on the machine itself. So let's get started carving. As long as you double check everything and make sure that everything is square to your machine, then it's going to cut on this narrow line quite well. And I wanted to be able to let you see this as it cut along 1.5 inch path, and that you can see that it's following exactly the way it needs to be. And this is all part of having the machine set correctly to begin with. Now I've opened up a new workpiece and I copied to the flag of the, which is the second line. So what I'm going to do is rotate this 90 degrees, and then I want to have this centered on the work material. So I'll come up to Edit, Center to Material, and that places this line exactly into the center of the workpiece. And this is what it's going to look like when it carves using the 90-degree bit. The nice thing about this whole entire process is that the XY0 point remains the same. Once I set it, then I can maintain that point throughout all of the pieces that I'm carving. So there is no need to reset the XYZ position. I do, however, have to reset the Z probe each time I change and move to a different piece. The same will be true on the next section where I actually start tiling. XY0 remains the same. So that's the first 3 lines. Now I'm going to go open up another workpiece, and this is where we're going to split it. So this one is 24 inches right now. I'm going to go ahead and change this to 37 inches. Now with that done, let's go back and get the first line. And this is going to be "and to the republic for which it stands." We're going to hit Control C and then go over to my new workpiece and hit Control V. And again, we're going to rotate this 90 degrees. And we'll do the center of the workpiece. Now that centers it to the material. And if we scroll out, you can see that this is not going to allow me to cut it. So what we're going to do now is be able to split this right here. So "and to the republic" will be on one carve, and then "for which it stands" will be on another carve. Now I want to zoom in real close to show you how I'm going to do the tiling. If you look at this, "to the republic" and then "for which it stands," I can split that right here between republic and for. Now if you zoom in even closer, so I want you to be able to see this on the camera. This is 18 inches from my XY 0 point, and this is 19 inches. So if I use 18.5, that should actually work quite well to be able to handle the spacing. And that will be at my XY 0 point, and that's where I will place the starting point right here to be able to carve the second portion. So it's very important to be able to lay this out correctly so that the spacing of the words are correct as well. One of the things that I did also, I went ahead and put a note into this workpiece where I'm saying, and this will be a reminder for the future, that the tile, the second part with the XY 0, will be at 18.5. Now I have this set for 18.5, but something that may help you to get a little bit more accurate, you can come down to this bottom left and select the millimeters. Then we can come back and look. 470 millimeters would be pretty much dead center. So I'm going to add that into my notes, and I can use 470 millimeters as my XY 0 point right here. Okay, to be able to carve this, I went ahead and put the white box on the first half because that can get carved without doing anything. You just cover up this second portion. But here, I put the box in at the 18.5 inches or the 470 millimeters and then slid it down to this XY 0 point. Okay, this white box that I placed here has to be right on the XY axis for the 0. Now I placed this box when the letters were still moved up, so this was my 18.5 inches or the 470 millimeters. And this gave me the reference to be able to pull it down. So if I remove this white box, you can see the words are still there. So I'm going to go ahead and put that right back where it needs to be. There we go. And that would be, if it was up here still, would still be at the 18.5. And this needed to be 470 millimeters. So 470 millimeters will be right there. And if you recall, we could also have used the 18.5. So I'm going to go ahead and put my pencil line here. That's what I'm going to be using. Now then, we're going to set this up where the first part, I'm going to use this as my XY 0 point to do the first 3 words, and then we're going to slide it down, and we're going to use this for my second set of words. So let's set this up on the machine. Okay, the nice thing about having these bump stops here, we just put our new piece on and slide it right down through to the point where it needs to be, and then we'll be able to secure it. Over on the machine, I have my XY 0 axis right here, and this is all clamped down using my bump stops and my regular clamps to be able to keep it in position. That is going to be my next XY 0 point. We'll show you that in just a moment, and you can see how it does extend off the table. Well, let's go ahead and carve the first half. The XY 0 point for this first section is exactly the same as the first 3 pieces that I ran, where I didn't need to do the tiling. That is the XY 0 point right there, and it will remain throughout this entire carve. And you can see that came right up to where it needed to come to. So that's perfect. So now we'll go ahead and set up for the second operation. Now that I've got this released, all I need to do is just slide this straight down. The bump stops hold it in place, and we'll line it up with the new XY 0 point. And I'll slide that down to this point right there. And now we'll go ahead and secure it in place. Okay, I now have everything secured. This is my XY axis point for my 0 location for doing the second half. And you can see that the rest of the sign hangs off the table. So let's go ahead and get this one carved. If you look closely, you're going to see 2 little bitty dots. Those little dots actually was left over from the first carve. And the reason being is that white box that I had that covered that section did not completely cover it. So those 2 little white dots are actually part of the letter F. But in this carve, now that you can see it going, it actually comes and covers in exactly as it should. And this is due to the fact that very accurate measurements was taken so that what was on the board measured and what was on the computer was exactly the same. It pays to be able to measure twice and cut once, as the old saying goes. To begin the tiling operation, I did go ahead and convert this to the millimeters, and at 20 1/8 inches equates to 511 millimeters. So I'm opening up this next window now to begin this tiling operation, and I'm going to set this up now by starting off selecting a box. We're going to bring that over and enlarge that box so it will cover up the bottom portion of my words, the one nation under. We'll slide that right into place, and we'll put that box right on the 511 millimeters. We'll slide this up to 0 so it will not cut, and we confirm that. Now to be able to set up this one, it's an exact repeat of what we had just done on the previous line, so I'm not going to waste the time to be able to do it again here. Now this does take quite a few work pieces to be able to do this, but to begin with, on the first work piece, with no tiling, I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America. So that's the first 3 lines with no tiling. And then, and to the republic, and that is tile, for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Hi everyone, thank you for watching my video today. If you like the video, please go ahead and hit the subscribe button down below and the little bell next to it so you'll be notified on the different videos that I upload. Also check out the videos over here to be able to stay up to date on the happenings in my shop. So again, thank you for watching my videos.